Day 2.
Day 2.
Day 2 in the deer stalking estate. Slightly hungover and a lack of sleep. I'm going to Jamaica.
Burns night last night is literally, it's always the last whiskey that gets you. Or maybe, was it the 4 before? Fine. See you guys.
See you later.
Cheers everyone. See you straight.
See you soon. Right, let's get out there.
Me and Jake are all packed up and we're heading out to the open hill in the search of some red deer. Now, this is no easy feat. It's big open ground and there's eyes everywhere. And you wouldn't think deer would be able to hide in this big open ground, but I'm soon to find out that they can disappear at the click of a fingers. So I'm super excited to get stuck into this as it's my first time hunting in the open hill, especially getting stuck into the reds. So let's go.
So we're at the piece of ground we're going to be stalking on now. We're just having a quick scan with the thermal just to get an idea of what might be out there. This is huge flat open ground, so you need to kind of get an idea of what's out there before you just go in and just bump everything, basically, because they could be 200 meters away or they could be 2,000 meters away. And the one thing that definitely helps is the thermal. So that's us off. Behind us is the pub. As you can see, there's plenty around for the pub. Not sure how busy it is, but we're off and we're in search of some red hinds. If we can, maybe a celebratory pint on the way home. One thing we do know is the temperature's dropped and it's bloody freezing. It's cold. Might need those snowsuits after all. Just bumped a herd behind the stag in with them as well. They done the classic, just sat under the knoll of the hill. We had a look over there with thermal, but they must have just been tucked right underneath. Not sure if we'll be able to get back onto them now. Give them a bit of time, see if they settle. And then I think it might be better just pushing them around. We know they're there, at least. That's a problem with a big open ground like this. It's easy to bump deer, really. Well, onwards and upwards.
And there is the first lesson in why you should stalk very slowly, especially in situations where there could be deer hiding everywhere. We scanned with the thermal, but we didn't see this lot. Turns out there's a whole load over just the other side of the hill, maybe 200 meters away. Then, at a click of our fingers, they completely disappeared and we couldn't even find them on the drone.
So, we've gone to the top of a hill to do some glassing. This is a huge open ground. We can't find the deer that we bumped over there earlier. We would see them, especially on this ground. We scanned everything with the thermal as well. I'm a bit hungry. One thing I do know we have for lunch is soup and bannock from Shetland. And I can't wait for that. Now we have another dilemma that we found the deer, a lot of deer, and we're not sure the best way to get them because it's so open. We've got about 30-mile-an-hour winds, and we need to close the gap without any cover. So I'm just going to have another scan about basically and see if there's any other better options for making a move. Okay. two options. I'll be happy with the one that's not on top of this hill freezing my tits off.
Finding that vantage point and taking that extra time to do some glassing really does pay off. We now have two options of different deer to go for. We avoid going for the big herd far away where we've got a lot of risk trying to get into them with wind and very open ground. So we have another option down the riverbed where we can hunt the river system and stay undercover. I think this is what attracts me to hill stalking so much. Just because it's big open ground and there can be lots of deer, there takes a lot of skill and thought involved into actually getting in contact with those deer.
So we've got a plan. There's two groups pretty much. We're just trying to work out the best way to do it. We're going to follow the river down. And get tucked up, hopefully in a good shoot position. And work out which is the best ones to go for. They're just sitting low, so we're struggling to see them in the thermal, but we've spotted them with the binos. System, staying nice and low so they don't see us. It does mean we're going to have to cross the river a couple of times to get to the best position. Got to maybe 400 or 500 metres away.
About 500 metres, yeah.
500 metres away. We know where they are. They're all settled. We're just going to close the gap now and probably do some crawling. Unfortunately, definitely do some crawling. Definitely do some crawling. Unfortunately, we do have another river crossing.
A bit deeper than I thought it was. Probably a 150 metre crawl. Probably another river crossing. But at the minute, as far as I can see, there's one stag. They're all laid down now. There was one stood up a little while ago. There's one stag on stag, so he's looking this way. There are probably another 4, 5, 6 hinds around, but they are literally all looking this way, so we're going to have to stay low, stay quiet and see if we can close the gap.
It's not going to be easy.
We had managed to clear another 50 metres crawling. All of a sudden, all the deer just stood up with a crack of 2 shots which must have come from the other side of the estate. That means we're pretty much trapped now. We can't get any closer without them seeing, as we're just on the crest of this hill. So we have one decision, and that is, do we take the shot at this distance? I opt out because I've got smaller caliber, which in this wind is not ideal, so I leave it to Jake with the bigger rifle and I stick myself behind the camera. Jake takes his time on the shot as there's a lot of crosswind going on here, as well as a fair bit of drop in the distance. This is 440 metres. So Jake takes his time and eventually waits for the right moment and pulls the trigger. And the bullet connects perfectly and the deer rolls down the banking. Meanwhile, the others start to scatter. But as soon as that deer goes down, the whole hill erupts. We are seeing red deer pop out from pretty much everywhere. We had no idea that there was this many around, and we didn't even see them in the thermal. All the herds eventually congregate and they just scatter across the hill with one thing in mind, and that is to get out of this place because they don't know what's going on. As much as I would like to have taken a shot or actually just crawled into those deer a little further, as it's super exciting, I must admit I have loved just being behind the camera and actually watching it all happen. It doesn't often happen like that, and you don't often get those opportunities. So taking the time to spot the deer that just appear from nowhere around the hill is really cool to see.
So we're just looking through the footage of Jake taking the shot because we're a bit unsure. And from what I've seen, there's a big puff of fur and something rolled down the hill. This is on a small screen, but there's only one way to find out, and that's to go over there. There is a man behind the camera with a big old smile on his face who's just taken a 440 meter shot. That's a pretty good shot. It's a pretty good shot.
Knowing that this deer hasn't actually run away or having an idea means it's a lot easier to find or recover. Thankfully, we have little Myrtle with us who Jake uses as a deer dog, and you can see her here picking up the scent, which is really cool to see, and you know she's got it because she is super excited. Eventually, she gets the signal and off she goes.
That's the dog away. We're in the area now. Dog's come back. She's off down the bank.
Good job. Good job, Mercy. Good job. What have you got?
There we have a red hind that Jake just shot.
Watching little Myrtle work her ass off and find the deer and sitting there waiting for a big cuddle from Jake is really special, and seeing the whole relationship between the two work is really amazing. To see the whole hunt come together like that is pretty rewarding.
That's good that she's down, because we were a bit worried, and I know Jake's definitely relieved.
Shot placement wise, I mean, it's a little bit further back than I wanted it, but I mean this wind is just awful today. Really strong, but she's down. She's dead, which is the main thing. So we just need to get her pulled, maybe up to the top of the bank here, get her out of the water, and we'll get her dealt with.
And this is where the work begins again. So we've basically come to the decision we can't get the Argo Cat or the quad in just now. So we've dropped pins on location so we know exactly where this deer is, and we're going to come back for it later on or tomorrow morning. Temperature's going to drop tonight, so it's going to be perfectly fine sitting out. So we're going to go back and have some soup and bannocks, and I can't wait. Some proper Shetland soup and bannocks.
It's definitely time for a well-deserved meal, and with some traditional recent mutton soup and Shetland bannocks made amazingly by Neil and Claire Grant, so shout out to you. It's going down an absolute storm. There's a few happy faces kicking about. fueled up, it's time to get back out there and make the most of the day with only a couple of hours of light left.
So we're back out on the stalk. We're just at the back of the property, going up into the small forestry, and hopefully we can get into some sika this evening. Jake's away collecting the deer and stuff. Back down the road. So I'm at Ross. He's pretty excited. There's grouse and everything flying in.
With the wind not being ideal and kind of coming from behind us, we're pretty much scenting the area we want to hunt. But surprisingly, that doesn't stop there being plenty of life out there. Using the thermal imaging here, you can actually see a little grouse tucked up in the old wood and trees chopped down. And eventually later on in the night, we do get a visit from a couple of sika coming out into the forestry. On the way home, we see another 3 deer out in the open, and this is really where the thermal comes into its own. Unfortunately, we can't hunt at this moment in time, but at least we know there's going to be deer there tomorrow.
So that is the end of the day. Everybody's just come back in. There's still a couple deer out on the hill that we're just having to get tomorrow, just with the time and basically where they are. The ground's pretty nuts out there. So now we're doing, again, the more hard graft, getting the deer prepped, ready to go in the chiller.
With another mega day over and a few tired faces, there's plenty of meat to go about. So the last steps are getting all the deer sorted out and in the chiller before we sit down for a dram. Join me in the next episode where we head back out, stalk the forestry for some sika, as well as a lot of hiking. It's going to be a big old day.